Well, good morning, everybody. My name's Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio on the 11th of April, 2024. And thank you so much for being with us today. Footsteps2Brilliance is with us today. They're going to tell you all about it. But basically, it's a high-tech literacy program. A lot has to do with equity. As you know, we are the American Consortium for Equity in Education. Has to do with community and parental involvement in a high-tech solution that is going to be extremely important in these days post-pandemic. Okay, and on that note, I've got Ilene Rosenthal and Eugene Narciso, who are the co-founders of Footsteps2Brilliance. They'll be with us in just a second. Brilliance, CEO and COO, respectively. And by the way, I know my friend Jody is listening, so I want to say hello to her. Hi, Jody. Don't say anything. You're not on the air yet. Okay, but at any rate, I'm not going to bring you on, but I wanted to say hello to you, Jody. Okay, thanks for helping me put the show together. You know, we are the American Consortium for Equity in Education over at ace-ed.org, and that's where the show is going to be archived. Almost said podcasted. Okay, that's where this podcast is going to be archived. There you go. All right, and I hope you go over there, check it out. Everything's free for educators. All about equity. We have our Equity Awards program, our magazine, all the podcasts, some great information over there. And I hope you do check it out and share it with your friends. And ace-ed.org, that's where it is. Today it's going to be all about Footsteps2Brilliance. We'll take two steps now with these two people. First step. Hi, Ilene. It's Larry here.
Hi, Larry. It's wonderful to be on your show. Thank you.
It's lovely to have you here. And second step, Eugene. Should I call you Gene or Eugene? What do you want, Eugene?
Hey, Gene is fine. Hey, Larry, you're a legend. So I'm so grateful to be here today.
Well, thank you. Pigeons are already roosting on my shoulders. What can I tell you? Thank you. Okay, as they built the statue. Okay. Okay, Ilene, you're CEO and co-founder. You founded this. Tell everybody what it is. Footsteps, the number 2, Footsteps2Brilliance. And I love it because it combines a lot of things I like. So go ahead. Go.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks so much. Well, let me tell you why we created Footsteps2Brilliance.
Yeah.
You've heard, of course, that people decide how many prison beds to build based on the reading scores of 4th grade. I actually lived that, Larry. Something that many people don't know about me is that I was a teacher, and then I became a lawyer and an assistant United States attorney. And
wow.
I found that so many of the people who got entrapped, if you will, in some ways in the criminal justice system really didn't have the literacy background to have any other options in life. That really bothered me because, remember, my first love and passion is teaching. So
right.
I talked to different educators, superintendents, and said, what's going on? And they explained to me the research, which is that 95% of the brain gets developed before a child starts, and the superintendents didn't have jurisdiction to reach into those families. So based on that, Eugene and I talked about how we could create an equity model that would really reach children even before they came to school, but then work with them through elementary school so that they're reading proficiently. Because we know that if you don't come to school ready to learn, 88% don't catch up. That means by age 5, you've determined the trajectory of a child's life. Yeah.
That's very true. You know, they talk about book deserts and learning deserts in urban and poorer neighborhoods, and those kids have less of a chance to succeed. It's exactly right. Okay? And you were dead on that. Yeah. Go ahead. Please continue.
No. So what we realized was a few things. First of all, that the digital divide could be solved because we were finding more and more the trend was that the outlier was that parents had smartphones, cell phones, that had just come into being. And so we were the very first organization to use to leverage the parent's cell phone to actually deliver the books, songs, and games, everything that was needed for a child to succeed, and to help the parent through a collective impact model.
Nice. This is when was all this happening? Before the pandemic? We'll use the pandemic as the cornerstone here. Yeah. When did you come up with all this? Yeah.
We were pre-pandemic. The company started in
2012. Yeah,
it's
I thought
2012.
you were, but the way you were saying it, I just wasn't sure. So I just wanted to make sure about that. 2012 was so. Congratulations! This is the dozen years now you've been doing this, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
Lots of lessons learned and lots of good data as well.
Yeah, and you just took the next question out of my mouth. And Eugene Narciso, Gene is the COO, co-founder of Footsteps2Brilliance. Gene, what is your background, okay, in all this? And over the past 12 years, okay, and there was a major hiccup in there. It was called the COVID pandemic, okay? What has changed? What's going on, et cetera, et cetera? Just talk about that. Gene
Larry,
Narciso,
Larry, the story starts way back when I was a teacher for LAUSD, and I realized, that parents wanted the best for their kids, and so
of course,
when we look at the chapter of our history books and we look at COVID as one of those chapters, parents became the heroes during that time, along with teachers and administrators, but they really had to step up to the plate. And one thing I realized as an LAUSD teacher, I taught adult ed, so I got to see parents who wanted best for their kids, and they want so badly, Larry, to help their kids, but we need to give it to them in a non-threatening ways, give them tools to be their child's first teachers. And so when we had superintendents who were working with us prior to COVID and COVID hit, our population was ready. I heard Maine hit 4 days with no electricity up in your area.
I am one of them. Yes. Yes.
And Larry, imagine 2 years of that for these kids, right? And so we gave parents that lifeline to become their child's first teacher, and we do so by reaching in a community-wide way all of the important stakeholders, the parents, the community members. And we actually have a superintendent that did a study during this COVID period because they were ready prior to COVID. They saw an increase of 175% students accelerating their literacy skills. Isn't that amazing, Larry?
Yeah. It really is. And by the way, I just want to say what Gene was referring to a few minutes ago. We had today's April 11th, and we had that big surprise nor'easter, which took us all but for a loop last week, and it knocked out electricity literally through the entire state. Okay, for about 4 days. All right, and luckily I have a very good generator, but you can't use it to light up everything. And we had no internet or everything. And I'm not complaining. I'm just putting it into a little bit of perspective for you. In fact, they're knocking out a little bit of the electricity today for a few hours to continue to fix what was broken before. So it's just, well, I live basically in 1846. It's like it's not going to be you kind of take electricity for granted. I don't know, but here in Maine, we've learned not to. Okay, and we all moan and groan about it too, I might add. Okay, and I want to say something about what Gene said a minute ago. I know we're helping kids with Footsteps to Brilliance. Okay, but you said you taught adult ed. Okay, and you're also, if an adult needs to help their kid, it's important for them to be literate as well. All right, and I'm sure Footsteps to Brilliance, which is not its focus, is helping adults learn too, and literally taking the pressure off the parents, to really help the kids, and helping the parents along with all that. I just want to say how nice that is as well. Just a little added bonus. So we've got programs from Footsteps to Brilliance when school district signs on. Okay, but what are they signing on to? Okay, I mean, it's a great equity thing. It's a great, and it's so important with the community these days. But I'll stick with Gene. Gene, what are they signing on to when they buy Footsteps to Brilliance? What do they buy? Not the parents, the teachers, the school district. Excuse me. Yeah, school district.
Larry, let me paint a picture for you, because this is like a wonderful scenario of like working with amazing superintendents. Here's what they sign on for you. It's what we call a model innovation city. And what that is, it's citywide literacy that really goes beyond the school district and touches the community, the churches, the families.
Nice.
This is what you've been talking about, that 100% equity. And
Yeah.
Ilene was talking about cell phones. So we've invented a platform that allows us to really light up any mobile device, any tablet. And, you know, with what we were just talking about, the generator, it's both online and offline. So when we have these deserts, these internet deserts, we're able to touch families in a very scaled way. And what happens on their phones and their tablets, we send over literacy materials to help kids get kindergarten ready and reading proficiently by third grade. And we do it both in English and in Spanish. So, Larry, that's the big picture of what we do.
Wow. But what, I don't know if this is a dumb question or not. When you work with us, every school district has a different curriculum, all right? And when you're working, you know, they select different products, different programs, et cetera, okay? When they select your program, how does that fit in? Or maybe it is the program, and I'm just trying to get a sense of this, okay? What the school district is using, okay, is how does Footsteps to Brilliance fit into that? Is it the curriculum program they're using, or is it an add-on to what they're already using? And maybe that's the question. Ilene, help me out with all that. I hope I'm asking that question properly.
Larry, you're asking an excellent question, because we're in a world where teachers are totally overwhelmed, and they all adopt different core English language art curriculum. But the problem is one curriculum doesn't differentiate for every student. So with Footsteps to Brilliance, what we've done, yes, and you know that's crucial. And so what we've done at Footsteps to Brilliance is that we look at the scope and sequence of all of those curriculi, and then we align curated packets of interactive, fun activities, really joyful.
Oh, I got it.
That align with whatever the teacher's teaching. So it's no longer a disconnect. The kids aren't put on a computer that has nothing to do with what's happening to the teacher. But what we're finding is not only does this give teacher wonderful information, they have the data, we then let them see where there's areas of weakness. And where there's areas of weakness, what does a teacher do? Well, it would be hard to find all of the resources to fill that. But with Footsteps to Brilliance, with the click of a button, they can assign curated, targeted activities that the child can work on. But Larry, the really exciting thing is that we've discovered something else. Because we can be used during the school day, after the school day, and after school with parents, that now you can start pre-teaching what the child's going to see the next day in class. And so what exactly. So the real difference between the kids who come in confident and not are the ones who have had the benefit of having a lot of exposure and background knowledge. Now any tutor can give it, because the child opens their tablet or their computer and they have these lessons that are going to be reinforced the next day in class. So they're coming to school confident, and the result is that they're tripling their gains on literacy by the end of the year.
Oh, that's great. That is really good. How many school districts are you working with, Ilene?
Oh, gosh. We have over 2 million students using us. And in terms of the number of districts, probably over 200 districts.
That's fabulous. That's just great. And are you, Ilene, are you in California? Where are you?
I'm actually on your coast. I'm in D.C.
Okay. And Gene, you're in California?
I grew up in Los Angeles, but now I'm in Chicago. So I've given up the palm trees for snow.
Yes, you have. Gene was one of those guys you see on the news a few years ago buying a snow shovel when the snow started to fall. Okay?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I need this. Okay. Where are you in Chicago? I used to live there.
So I'm in the south side suburbs of Palos Park.
Yeah, so you must be a White Sox fan, huh?
Oh, you know what? I wish. I barely have any time for sports, Larry. So, I tell you, my family, though, that they are White Sox fans.
Boo. I used to live on the north side. Cubs fan. Sorry, pal. What can I tell you? Okay. Sorry about that little diversion there. We'll just go into this. You know, I love this part. I just want to get into this for a second. I love it when teachers take what they know and do something further with it. That's kind of what you did. In between, you happen to be a U.S. attorney. But I want you to take a little bit of the road. You're obviously you're a female, but you know, we always look for female leadership because it's so much of a female profession. Okay, and just talk about that for a second because you know, well, we'll just talk about that road. I think is incredibly important because something in you, and this is typical teacher, you went back into education after all of that. You figured something out. Just talk about that road a little bit. I just want to hear a little more about that because that road is the road that gets you so involved with the community and all that sort of thing. Go ahead, Ilene.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Thanks, Larry. That. Well, you know,
you're welcome.
Once a teacher, always a teacher.
Yeah,
you have a passion for children and community, but in terms of the leadership aspects, that's the other thing that's really important to me. I'm involved with a lot of women's groups where we try to create community, to collaborate and raise each other up. In fact, I was really honored because there's a book that was put out, it turned out being a bestseller, called Women Mean Business, and they spotlighted 100 women who had, you know, done things that have made a difference in the world, and I was very fortunate to be one of the women spotlighted. Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm glad you brought that up. That's really nice. And it just, to me, it just reflects how important this is, et cetera, et cetera. I just wanted to just talk about that. Do you have kids? Are you a mom too? I want to ask you that.
I am a mom. And my kids are now young adults. So I have a 29-year-old and a 25-year-old.
Okay. So they aren't using Footsteps to Brilliance, but I just want to make the point that mom, business person, etc. That's what makes all this work so well. Okay, that's why you understand the community, and that's why you understand. I just get this, and I just wanted to make these points, which are just so important and impressive. And on that note, okay, school districts tried like the devil, and most of them succeeded to get parents as involved as they possibly could. Okay, in their kids' learning. I remember my parents used to say when I came home, well, what'd you do in school today? I'd say nothing, and that was the entire conversation. Okay? Yeah, okay? That's probably kids are still doing it. What'd you do today? Nothing. Okay? But, okay, you're asking parents from school districts that have Footsteps to Brilliance to spend about 15 minutes a day. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, how are we doing? What are you hearing from parents on that regard? And what are you hearing from school districts about parental involvement? Is that a fight to get the parents more involved and for literacy, spending 15 minutes a day with them? Talk about that little battle that is constant.
Well,
Ilene,
Larry, thank you. Let me tell you that in what we're finding is that, first of all, parents want to help their children, but they don't always have the tools. So what we found didn't work is sending out a lot of information about what you should do with your kids. We don't do that. We say, here's some games that you can play with your kids. They happen to be digital. Here's some songs you can sing with your kids. And we align it so that day by day, there's 4 fun exercises. So a parent doesn't have to think about what to do. And then you talked about the parent needing to be literate.
Yeah.
Well, we actually take that into account. So the beauty of technology is that it can amplify what happens in the classroom and give even parents who haven't had the education themselves the ability to, we call it lapware, have the child sit on their lap. They click a button and the story gets read to them. If they speak Spanish at home, they can touch a toggle switch and that story gets read in Spanish. We have interactivity within the pictures of the book so that the kids can be laughing with their parents and they can be talking about it. So all of those things that we train teachers to do, we actually build right into the software and make it easy. It's an easy button.
Well,
yeah.
That's good. Who developed the software to do it? That what you just said was really interesting. Okay, who developed all this and who continues to develop it? What's going on? Who does that? Who's your team? Whatever. However you want to say that.
I'll let Eugene actually answer this one. Eugene, you want to take
this one?
Go
for it.
Yeah, Larry,
Eugene?
we from the very beginning, it was really our love child. So we have a core team of the brightest people who really solve huge problems. And we've developed this from the beginning. So all of this is our own stories, and we've really hired the best writers from the industry to bring the joy of learning to kids. We want to make sure that it's fun, so we've got people who really specialize in like gaming as a pedagogical vehicle, making sure that whatever we do, it's fun for kids. And in the end, we always want to make sure that it's academically sound. So our academic team are the best of the best, and they're always making sure that what we're doing is aligned back to the schools.
Right, and actually that brings up a good point. How often, and I know you're doing it often, but I want to ask the question, how often is it updated? And the reason I'm asking about that, a lot of it, education needed to change post-pandemic. Okay, what worked before wasn't necessarily working after, and one of the major things that has changed, as everybody knows, is the way we teach reading. Okay, and I just want to get into, if you can, how often are you guys looking to change, update and change? And probably the answer is every day, but I want you to say that. Okay, and then Gene, you continue on that one if you want to.
Yeah, Larry, the updates are on a regular basis. So we have major updates scheduled throughout the year, but the most important thing is that we listen to teachers, we listen to administrators,
Excellent.
We listen to parents, because in the end, we got to make sure that we understand those are the people that we're servicing. And so the majority of our updates actually come from teachers saying, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this, this, and that? And our team really listens, and we put it into play.
Wow, good, and thank you. And I knew you were going to say that, but I wanted you to say it, not me. Okay, because it's cool. Ilene, what's the model innovation? I got this note from Jody. Model Innovation Community Program. Okay, what's that?
Mm-hmm. So
and I want to say what to me, and I just want to say this. This is incredibly important to me because we have to keep the parents, the community involved. That is so key to all this. Okay, go for it.
Thanks so much. Well, we know that schools can't do it alone, and we know that they need to break down the four walls of the, school house.
Yeah, they do.
But they need a partner to do that, because it's like they're on a treadmill and they're running 24/7. So we come in and we have templates that we customize to the DNA of each community. We actually have proprietary software, yes, where we develop a geofence around the entire area. We then work with all of the community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, to help reach the hard-to-reach parents. And we do parent university and training. And, of course, teach people how to use the program. It's simple, but, you have to get them. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink, but you can get him awfully thirsty along the way. And that's what our goal is.
Good analogy there. Okay, that's actually funny. How do you do that? Okay, you just said you're going to get the churches, the synagogues, whatever, the mosques, whatever the case may be. Okay, and all that together, you're going to reach out into the community. And how is it the school district that's pushing that out there, or what? Just talk about that. I love that, the idea of that. How do you do it?
Yeah, well, actually, we create an army of volunteers with the school. So we create literacy collaboratives where some of the key people in the districts come together to support this early literacy initiative. And then under them, there are literacy ambassadors, all those volunteers who want to read. As we said, the software is simple. It's easy. It's a matter of, using it. And so these become the people who motivate. And we, of course, do the professional development and training and have all the extras that people need. So one of the really fun things that we do is about 2 or 3 times a year in each district, we have literacy contests. Sometimes they're for the books, the children who read the most books. And sometimes, because we have a lot of writing in our program, it's for the children who write the most books. And last year in Riverside County, last summer,
in California, Riverside?
In California, the county superintendent, Dr. Edwin Gomez, challenged everybody, there's 23 districts under him, to write books on the Footsteps to Brilliance platform. They then took the best books at each category, pre-K, TK, first, second, third, et cetera, and they published those as a actually hardcover book, and they put it in libraries throughout the county.
Nice.
So children are now authors at a very young age, and it's fascinating to see just how the children's literacy skills and writing skills and critical thinking skills develop from that early to the last. And it's all in one book so that you can see it. It's really a fascinating way. But competitions are one way to get people involved. And I have to tell you one other thing. In San Bernardino County, the county superintendent, Ted Alejandre, actually wanted to do even more. And so we partnered with him, their PBS affiliate, KVCR, to create the first ever transmedia program, Larry. That's where you can, that's where, think about this. You can see a program in English. They use their own teachers, and in Spanish. And then you could take, they're all using content from Footsteps to Brilliance. Then you can download the books. So now you can be practicing reading the books. And then we could start sending them interactive games that connect to those books. And then you can create contests from it so that you really have a direct connection to the parents through all the different media that they can use.
You got to really feel good about this, because this has been a challenge for school districts. And I want to go back and say you've been doing this since 2012. When that pandemic hit, it was very important for the schools to be able to work with the parents. And if I may, you guys laid a good foundation for that. And the school districts that you were working with prior to the pandemic, I would bet you had a no pun intended here, a greater foothold into the community, okay, than one since. And I think it's important that everybody gets started about this, because you never know when something's going to happen. And it's so important to get the community involved, and you've got that. And you've got proof, you've got the data. And actually, this is an interesting question. I'll let Gene this. Okay, you've got the data that shows that it works. But Gene, as school districts are using the programs, okay, you're getting a flow of data in, obviously. All right, how does the program relate that data back to the educator, the classroom teacher, so that they can make the changes and understand what's going on? What's the feedback on all this to the educator? Gene.
Larry, your question is so important, because
Thank you. That's why they pay you the big bucks, Gene. That's why they pay you the big bucks. Yeah.
Larry, I'll follow you any day. So here's the thing, Larry. The teachers are really our heroes here, and we need to make their jobs easier, especially after COVID. And with the growing diverse population that's happening in the United States today with science of reading, teachers feel a whole shoulder's worth of what feels overwhelming. We are the easy button. We give teachers real-time data. So the kids are playing these games that Ilene was talking about, and they find it engaging, and it feels like they're playing these games, but their educational content aligned to the core curriculum that the teachers are doing. So if you can imagine, Larry, week number 3, day number 2, I'm teaching XYZ in my class. Footsteps to Brilliance, we have games that are aligned to those topics, and the teachers have a report that says, hey, here's Larry, here's Eugene. Larry's doing really awesome in the class, but Eugene is in that yellow zone. Maybe look at
I think you'd probably be doing better than me, Gene. You'd be doing better than me, Gene.
Well, I would. You know why, Larry? Because the teacher can say, assign something to Eugene so he can go right next to Larry and have that conversation about that topic. That's the key.
Well said. The feedback is so darn important in all this. I mean, the Footsteps to Brilliance, it's just done properly here. And it covers that important base, and I can't say enough for this. I keep going back to it about community involvement. It's just so darn important because, again, we needed it. A lot of school districts tried it, but they weren't where you guys were, and it's just so important because we're going to need it again, as we all know, the future. Okay, so I've got it all linked here. Footsteps to Brilliance. That letter. I keep saying letter. Number 2. Footsteps2Brilliance.com. Okay, it's just really great stuff you put together. Ilene, thank you. Gene, thank you. This has been fantastic. I learned a lot. This is great stuff.
Thank you so much, Larry.
I really mean it.
Larry.
I mean, you guys put together something that's I don't know how the hell you put it together. Gene, you're a teacher. Ilene, you're a lawyer. I don't know how you came up. How did you come up? I'm going to ask this question before we end. How did you come up with this, Ilene? Okay, how did you do it? Where did you go to begin? Ilene, you're smart.
Well,
Tell me, where did you go? How did you do this? I just want to get into that
Larry,
for a second.
Remember
Yes.
that my background is teaching. Okay, so I am a teacher, even though I did go for a little while to the darker side, to lawyering. And
but you're not a technology dude, yet look what you've come up with. I mean, this is really cool and ahead of the curve. You too, Gene, by the way. Okay, but I'm serious about this. You guys really were ahead of the curve. You have no idea how ahead of the curve you are in terms of building the community relationship to continue the literacy process, especially for people who are underrepresented. You really came up with something that covers a lot of bases. This is really cool. Do you think you could talk to Congress and get them working better?
Actually,
yes.
I think the answer is yes. Very much so. Because
go ahead.
we keep spending money to do the same old, and getting the same result. And if you don't start early, if you don't get the parents involved, if you don't unite the community, you're going to always get those same results. So during COVID, one of the things is we kept getting superintendents who would email or call us and say, "You saved us," because they had the infrastructure already. Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Larry,
don't leave education, but add Congress to this. I'm telling you, because they need some Footsteps to Brilliance. Yes, Gene? What were you saying? Yeah. Gene?
Larry, for me, the reason why we started this is because Ilene and I spent so many years in prior organizations putting Band-Aids to the problem. It was remediation, it was dropouts. And so we wanted to create an audacious goal. And so our origin story was, how about if we could cure this thing once and for all? And the research is clear. If you focus on early learning, everything that we spend our money on after third grade is catch-up. And so this, to us, is our legacy. It really is trying to say, this is an audacious goal. Let's tackle this with the best superintendents in the United States, and let's see if we can solve this problem once and for all.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, I'm just so impressed with all this. I really am. I hope we can do more together. Okay. Ilene, thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for being here today. This was great. And Gene, thank you. And I'll say it. Good luck to the White Sox. Say it begrudgingly.
What a pleasure, Larry.
This has been a pleasure. Thank you, guys, both of you, and continued good luck and enjoy the springtime. It be coming. All right. Thanks a million. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye, Gene. Okay. Well, that was so much fun. Thank you, and thank you, Jody Beauty, for helping me put all this together with such wonderful people and such a good product. I hope you all check it out. I do have it linked up here, Footsteps 2, that's the number 2, Footsteps2Brilliance.com. Not only a good product, but an interesting background to the company. I mean, it really covers a lot of bases there. Check it all out. All right? They've got all the testimonials and endorsements to prove it. We'll archive over at ace-ed.org. Can't thank everybody enough for listening and for being here with us. I'm Larry Jacobs. Thank you for listening.